The galaxy was vast, filled with countless civilizations, each with its own history, its own might. Among the stars, the Galactic Council had held sway for centuries. A group of the most powerful and influential species, ruling with an iron fist over the lesser beings of the galaxy. They had watched the rise of countless civilizations, offering guidance, but also keeping control. The Council believed themselves invincible, untouchable, their power unquestioned. They were the law, the order that governed the galaxy. But deep within the darkest corners of the galaxy, something was stirring. Something they couldn't see. Something they didn't understand. Humanity. For years, Earth had been overlooked, regarded by the Council as a backwater planet, filled with insignificant beings who had barely scratched the surface of the stars. Humans had no advanced technology, no massive fleets, and no galactic ambitions. At least, that's what the Council believed. They had no idea that beneath their noses, Earth was hiding a secret. A secret that could shake the very foundation of the galaxy. Humanity had discovered dark matter. It had started as a curiosity. A group of scientists on Earth, studying the strange properties of dark matter, had begun to experiment with it in secret. At first, their work was unremarkable, little more than academic. But slowly, they began to understand its power. Dark matter was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't just energy or matter. It was something far more dangerous, far more unpredictable. The scientists on Earth realized they could manipulate it, harness its raw potential. But what they didn't realize, what they didn't understand, was how quickly their discoveries could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. It had taken years for the humans to perfect their technology, to build something truly powerful. Their work was secret, hidden away in underground labs and isolated research stations. The Galactic Council had no idea that their most dangerous enemy was already among them, quietly preparing for the moment when humanity would rise up and reveal its true power. It was Captain Vance, a brilliant strategist and the leader of Earth's newly formed fleet, who had overseen the project. He was a man of few words, but his mind was sharp, always calculating, always thinking 3 steps ahead. Vance had been chosen for this mission because of his ability to see the big picture. He knew that humanity's survival depended on this technology, and he was willing to do whatever it took to ensure its success. When the time finally came, the first dark matter warship was ready. It was a marvel of human engineering, a massive ship powered by the raw energy of dark matter. Its weapons could tear through the fabric of space itself, turning entire fleets into dust with a single shot. The warship was silent, like a ghost in the void, moving unseen through the darkness of space. It was humanity's secret weapon, one that could change the course of the galaxy forever. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. They continued their business as usual, squabbling over trivial matters, blind to the storm that was about to hit. No one saw the first wave of humanity's warships as they emerged from the depths of space, moving silently toward the Council's capital. The Council's intelligence networks had failed to detect them. They were too far advanced, too quiet, too deadly. As the warships drew closer, panic began to spread within the Council. Their most trusted spies had failed to uncover anything about humanity's new technology, and now it was too late. The first attack came without warning. One moment, the Council was safe, confident in their control of the galaxy. The next, their fleets were burning, ripped apart by the power of humanity's dark matter weapons. The Council had never faced anything like it before. The initial attack left the Council reeling, scrambling to understand what had just happened. They couldn't comprehend how a small, insignificant race like humanity had managed to create such a powerful weapon. Their intelligence networks had been blind to it, and now they were paying the price. As the warships continued their assault, more questions began to surface. How had humanity done this? What had they discovered that the Council hadn't? Inside the Council's command center, the leaders met in panic. The Council had always relied on their overwhelming military strength to keep the galaxy in check. But against humanity's new weapon, that strength was meaningless. They couldn't stop the dark matter warships. The first wave had destroyed half of the Council's fleet, and there was no sign that the attacks would stop. The leaders of the Council tried to make sense of the situation, trying to find a way to counter humanity's new weapon. But the more they analyzed the warships, the more they realized that they didn't even understand how the ships worked. The dark matter technology was far beyond anything they had ever encountered. The Council's most brilliant scientists were at a loss. They couldn't find a weakness. They couldn't figure out how to stop the warships, and worse, they had no idea how many more humanity had hidden away. With each passing moment, the Council's grip on the galaxy slipped further away. Panic began to spread among the lesser races, who had once relied on the Council for protection. The galaxy had always been a place of order, but now chaos was beginning to spread. The Council's authority was crumbling. The news of humanity's dark matter warships spread like wildfire, and soon every race in the galaxy was questioning whether the Council could maintain control. In the darkness of space, humanity's warships moved closer to the heart of the Galactic Council. The battle had only just begun, but the galaxy was already on edge, and no one knew how it would end. Humanity had shown its hand, and the Council had been caught completely off guard. The future of the galaxy was now in the hands of a species the Council had once considered insignificant. But as humanity's dark matter warships closed in, it became clear. The galaxy was about to change forever. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming, and it was too late to stop it. They had underestimated humanity, and now they were going to pay the price. The first attack had been a warning, a glimpse of the devastation that was to come. The Council had no way of knowing how many more warships humanity had, or how far they were willing to go to claim their place in the galaxy. But one thing was certain: the balance of power was shifting, and humanity was about to rewrite the rules of the galaxy. The Galactic Council had long been the undisputed authority in the galaxy, a massive coalition of powerful civilizations that governed every corner of space. Their fleets, their armies, their control over resources were unmatched. They ruled with an iron fist, maintaining peace and order, or at least, that's how it seemed. To them, the lesser races of the galaxy were insignificant, unworthy of serious attention. Humanity, in particular, had been dismissed as a primitive species on a small, insignificant planet, Earth. The Council had no reason to believe Earth could ever pose a threat to them. But as the galaxy's most powerful species continued to squabble and maintain their dominance, they failed to notice the quiet storm brewing just beyond their reach. Earth, for all its limitations, had something the Council didn't understand: ingenuity, perseverance, and a relentless desire to survive. What had begun as a scientific curiosity had evolved into something far more dangerous. A secret project, hidden deep within the confines of Earth's most secure research facilities, had discovered something unimaginable: dark matter. What seemed like an abstract concept in the scientific world was now humanity's most powerful weapon. Captain Vance had seen potential in dark matter from the very beginning. An experienced military leader and brilliant strategist, he had been chosen to oversee the project that would change everything. Humanity had realized that dark matter wasn't just a mysterious energy, it was a resource. The scientists who had first unlocked its power were astonished by what it could do. Dark matter was unpredictable, capable of bending the very fabric of space and time. It could provide limitless energy, sure, but it could also create weapons of terrifying destruction. As humanity's dark matter program advanced, they constructed warships, massive vessels powered by this newfound energy. These warships were like anything the galaxy had ever seen. Their weapons could tear through entire fleets with a single blast. These ships could phase through space, disappearing and reappearing without warning, making them nearly impossible to track. The Galactic Council had no idea what was coming. Humanity's warships were about to change the entire balance of power. The first wave of warships, nearly silent, emerged from the depths of space, invisible to the Council's sensors and intelligence networks. They moved with deadly precision, approaching the Council's capital without warning. The Galactic Council had no idea that humanity had developed such powerful technology. Their intelligence networks had failed to detect it. It was too late. By the time the first attack occurred, the Council's defenses were already overwhelmed. The warships opened fire without hesitation, their dark matter weapons obliterating entire fleets in seconds. The Council's once unrivaled armada crumbled before the might of humanity's new weapon. The first wave of attacks left the Council in chaos. The leaders of the Council could hardly believe their eyes. Their ships, the very backbone of their power, were being destroyed in an instant. The Galactic Council, which had long assumed that they were invincible, now faced the unthinkable. Humanity, the species they had so casually dismissed, had struck the first blow in a war that no one had expected. The panic that spread throughout the Council was palpable. Leaders and generals scrambled to understand what had just happened, but no answers came. The intelligence reports were clear. Humanity had unlocked the power of dark matter, and they were using it to destroy the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. The Council's military strategists, the best minds in the galaxy, had no idea how to stop it. Humanity had found a way to strike at the heart of the Council, and there was nothing they could do to fight back. As the Council's leaders gathered in their command center, they struggled to make sense of the devastation. The suddenness of the attack, the ferocity of humanity's warships, was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Their most experienced commanders had been caught off guard, unable to respond in time. Their best fleets had been destroyed in the blink of an eye, and now the Council's capital was vulnerable. The race to defend it was on, but no one knew if it was too late. The Council's intelligence officers had failed to uncover humanity's secret weapon, and now they were paying the price. The dark matter warships were unlike any weapon they had ever seen before. The power they wielded was almost limitless. The ships could fire with deadly precision, and their energy shields were nearly indestructible. For all their technological might, the Council was helpless in the face of such power. They had always thought of humanity as weak and insignificant, but now they were learning a hard lesson: never underestimate the underdog. As the attacks continued, the Council's scientists scrambled to understand the dark matter technology. They pored over data, trying to reverse engineer the technology, but they quickly realized that humanity's understanding of dark matter was far beyond anything they had ever imagined. The technology was too advanced. There was no easy way to counter it. The warships were far more powerful than anything the Council had in its arsenal, and the few remaining fleets were no match for the oncoming waves of dark matter ships. The fate of the galaxy seemed uncertain. The Council's grip on power was slipping, and with each passing moment, the warships grew closer to their capital. The first wave of attacks had been devastating, but it was clear that humanity was just getting started. The dark matter ships were a new kind of weapon, one that could not be defeated by traditional means. And with Captain Vance leading the charge, humanity was ready to show the galaxy that it was no longer a mere bystander in the cosmic struggle for power. The Galactic Council had always believed that their control was absolute, but now, humanity was proving that power could be taken away in the blink of an eye. The warships, once a secret, had now become the symbol of humanity's rise to power. The Council's greatest fear had been realized. A species they had written off as insignificant was now their greatest threat. The galaxy was about to change, and there was nothing the Council could do to stop it. The question was no longer whether humanity could win, but how much destruction they were willing to unleash to secure their place in the galaxy. As the first battle raged on, the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Would the Galactic Council be able to regroup and mount a defense, or was this the beginning of the end for their reign? One thing was certain: humanity's dark matter warships had begun a war that no one could have predicted, and the consequences would be felt throughout the galaxy for years to come. The Galactic Council was in disarray. The attack had been swift, and its consequences had been devastating. The Council had always prided itself on its intelligence, its ability to anticipate and neutralize threats before they could reach their doorstep. Yet, humanity's dark matter warships had shattered that illusion in a matter of hours. No one had expected it. No one had even known it was possible. The weapon that had brought the Council to its knees was something they hadn't seen coming, something far beyond their understanding. As the dark matter warships continued their relentless assault, the Council's leaders met in the war room, a space once filled with certainty and plans to maintain their control. Now, it was filled with desperation. The Council's best minds, the most brilliant scientists and military strategists, had been called to work together to solve the greatest crisis they had ever faced. But no one could offer a solution. No one could explain how humanity had developed such powerful technology, nor could they figure out how to stop it. The first step was to understand the weapon. What was it? How did it work? The Council's top scientists, experts in every known field of galactic technology, were assigned the task of uncovering the secrets behind humanity's dark matter warships. But what they discovered only raised more questions. Dark matter was a mysterious substance, known to exist but never fully understood. It was believed to make up most of the universe's mass, yet it was invisible, undetectable by traditional means. Its properties were as baffling as they were dangerous. Humanity, however, had somehow found a way to manipulate it. They had created technology capable of harnessing the raw power of dark matter, a force that could rip apart entire fleets, shatter shields, and destabilize the very fabric of space. The scientists were able to piece together the basic understanding of how it worked, but what they couldn't explain was how humanity had unlocked its true potential. Their data revealed something terrifying. Humanity's understanding of dark matter went far beyond anything the Council had ever even considered. The technology was so advanced that it defied all known principles of physics and engineering. The Council's scientists had assumed that the manipulation of dark matter was impossible, that the energy required would be too great to control. Yet, humanity had done it. They had bent the laws of the universe to their will. As the Council's top minds analyzed the data, they realized that humanity hadn't just discovered dark matter, they had mastered it. And that mastery was now a weapon that could wipe out entire fleets, destroy entire star systems, and potentially even collapse the fabric of space itself. The more the scientists delved into humanity's research, the more they realized how far the Earth had come in their understanding of the universe. What had once been a primitive planet, teeming with strife and divided by borders, had managed to create a technology so powerful it could reshape the galaxy. The more they learned, the more they understood that humanity had developed something far beyond what the Council had ever anticipated. It wasn't just the warships that were the problem. It was the entire technological base humanity had developed. They were only beginning to scratch the surface of what humanity could do with dark matter. The Council was left in shock. It was as though they had been sleeping through a revolution, failing to notice the rise of a new power. Humanity's dark matter warships were just the beginning. They had no idea what else humanity had discovered, no idea how many more secrets were hidden within Earth's research archives. What else were the humans capable of? What other weapons did they have, waiting to be unleashed? Captain Vance, the commander of humanity's fleet, had been at the center of this breakthrough. His leadership had guided the project from its inception, overseeing the development of the warships and the testing of their dark matter weapons. But Vance was not just a military leader. He was a symbol of humanity's potential. His calm, calculating demeanor, his ability to think several steps ahead, had made him the perfect commander for this new era of warfare. And it was clear that he understood the gravity of what humanity had done. The Council could no longer afford to underestimate him, or the species he represented. As the warships continued their assault, the Council realized that they needed more than just a countermeasure. They needed to understand the full extent of humanity's potential before it was too late. The Council's remaining fleets were being wiped out with every passing hour. Ships were falling from the sky, and entire fleets were disappearing without a trace. There was no way to stop the warships, no way to fight back against the dark matter weaponry. The Council had no option but to retreat and regroup. The most disturbing realization of all, however, was that humanity wasn't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their place in the galaxy. Earth had always been considered a backwater planet, a species that was too young, too disorganized, to challenge the power of the Council. But now, humanity was showing the galaxy what they were capable of. And the Council was struggling to comprehend what it meant for their future. The Council's intelligence officers, once confident in their ability to monitor and control the galaxy, had failed to detect the rise of humanity's dark matter warships. The humans had been planning in secret, building up their power while the Council remained distracted by petty squabbles and infighting. Now, humanity's warships had brought the galaxy to a standstill. The Council's once unshakable authority had been shattered, and they had no idea what was coming next. It was clear that humanity had not just discovered dark matter. They had unlocked something even more dangerous: the ability to manipulate the very fabric of reality. What else could they do with this newfound power? How far could they push it before they reached a point where the galaxy itself was at risk? The Council's leaders realized they were facing something they had never encountered before: a species with unlimited potential, a species that was no longer a pawn in the galaxy's game of power. Humanity had changed the rules of the game, and the Council was left scrambling to catch up. The fear was palpable. They had no way of stopping humanity's warships, and they had no idea what other dangers the humans had in store. The more the Council learned about humanity's dark matter technology, the more they understood that they were no longer the most powerful force in the galaxy. A new player had emerged, and the galaxy was about to be forever altered. The Council had been caught off guard, and now they were racing against time to figure out how to survive. But as humanity's warships drew closer, it was becoming increasingly clear. The galaxy's old order was about to crumble, and humanity was poised to take their place at the top. The Galactic Council was now on the brink of collapse. Once proud and all-powerful, they were now caught in the unrelenting grip of a force they could not fight. The dark matter warships of humanity, a weapon so far beyond anything the Council had ever imagined, continued their assault without mercy. The once dominant fleets of the Council had been reduced to smoldering wreckage, and the very heart of their empire, their capital, was now under direct threat. Inside the Council's war room, panic had set in. The leaders of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, once confident in their invincibility, were scrambling to find a way to stop humanity's dark matter warships. They had tried everything: defensive shields, evasive tactics, counterattacks, but nothing worked. The dark matter ships tore through their defenses like paper. With every attempt to counter the assault, the warships only grew more formidable. The once proud fleets of the Council had been scattered across the stars, fleeing before an enemy they couldn't even understand. The situation was dire, but there was one thing that the Council still held in its favor: their vast network of spies, infiltrators, and intelligence officers. They had their ears in every corner of the galaxy, and they knew that humanity had a weakness. It wasn't the warships themselves that worried the Council. It was the fact that humanity had only revealed a fraction of what they were capable of. There was still so much more the Council didn't know about humanity's true potential. So far, humanity had only shown its warships, but what else had they developed in secret? The Council dispatched every resource they had left in an attempt to learn more about humanity's capabilities. They sent spies to infiltrate Earth, hoping to gather intelligence on the secrets behind the dark matter technology. But the more they dug, the more they realized how little they truly understood. Humanity had become a black hole of mystery, with their secrets buried deep within their society. Every attempt to infiltrate or spy on Earth was thwarted. Humanity was more resourceful than they had ever given them credit for. Meanwhile, Captain Vance, Humanity's brilliant and ruthless leader was not resting. He understood the stakes. His warships were already turning the tide of the war, but he knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there were many factions that had not yet been touched by humanity's rise to power. If humanity wanted to take its place among the stars, they needed to act quickly and decisively. The Galactic Council would not go down easily. The Council might have been caught off guard by the dark matter warships, but they would adapt. They would regroup. They would find a way to stop humanity, if they could. As Vance stood in the command center of the flagship Aurora, he watched the stars outside, his mind calculating his next move. Humanity had gone from being a forgotten species to the galaxy's most dangerous power, and he knew it was only a matter of time before the Council would regroup. He had to strike before they could recover, before they could develop a counterattack. The warships had already decimated most of the Council's fleets, but there was still much to be done. Humanity had the technology, the strength, and the determination to succeed, but they had no time to waste. Vance's orders were clear: continue the assault, but prepare for the final push. The war was not just about defeating the Council. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity could never be ignored again. Vance had a vision for Earth, a vision where humanity stood alongside the greatest civilizations in the galaxy, not beneath them. But that dream would only become a reality if the Council was completely defeated. It wasn't enough to just cripple their fleets. Humanity needed to dismantle the Council's power structure, to leave no room for them to regain control. As humanity's warships continued their attack, a new phase of the war began to unfold. The Council's once mighty fleets were scattered, defeated, and demoralized. But as the final remnants of their forces tried to regroup, humanity made its move. The warships arrived at the Council's capital, a sprawling metropolis of glass and metal, the symbol of the galaxy's dominance. It was here that the Council's leaders made their last stand. Captain Vance led the charge. He knew that the fate of the galaxy rested in his hands. With each dark matter warship that entered the capital's orbit, the Council's leaders realized their time had run out. The once indomitable Galactic Council was now facing complete annihilation. They had underestimated humanity at every turn, dismissing them as a weak and insignificant species. Now, they were facing the consequences of their arrogance. The final battle for the Council's capital was swift. Humanity's warships moved like shadows, slipping through the planet's defenses with ease. The Council's last-ditch effort to fight back, sending what few remaining ships they had left, was futile. The dark matter warships tore through their defenses, disintegrating entire fleets before they could even make it close to the capital. The leaders of the Council could do nothing but watch in horror as their empire crumbled before their eyes. In the final moments of the battle, Captain Vance stood at the helm of the Aurora, his expression cold and determined. He knew that victory was within his grasp, but it was bittersweet. Humanity had earned their place in the galaxy, but the cost had been immense. Millions of lives had been lost, and the galaxy would never be the same again. As the last of the Council's defenses were destroyed, Vance gave the order for the final strike. The dark matter weapon charged, and with a single devastating shot, the heart of the Galactic Council was obliterated. The galaxy was forever changed. Humanity had risen from the shadows, and the Council had fallen. The balance of power had shifted, and a new era had begun. For the first time in history, humanity stood at the top, ready to shape the future of the galaxy as they saw fit. The Council's reign of centuries had come to a fiery end, and humanity had proven that no one, not even the most powerful forces in the galaxy, could stand against them. The battle for the galaxy was over, but the war for humanity's future had only just begun. As Captain Vance looked out over the stars, he knew that humanity's true journey was just beginning. The galaxy was vast, and there were still many challenges ahead. But for the first time, humanity stood united, a force to be reckoned with. And no one would ever dare underestimate them again.